Do you remember the first time you built something with your own two hands? Man, it's such an empowering, deeply satisfying feeling, isn't it? Whether you're 8 or 80, living in a tiny apartment, or, rocking a garage full of power tools, there's just nothing quite like taking raw materials and transforming them into something actually functional. I mean, we should all be able to imagine, design, and just build things exactly the way we envision them. So, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are bringing that incredible DIY energy right into your own backyard. I promise you, by the end of our time today, we're going to completely demystify the kind of intimidating process of building a freestanding greenhouse from scratch. We're taking a plain patch of dirt and turning it into a gorgeous, functional growing space, and we're going to do it step by step. Now, when you think of a greenhouse, your mind probably jumps to one of two things: either a wildly expensive, massive commercial glass structure, or, on the total opposite end, a flimsy DIY PVC pipe frame wrapped in plastic. While today, we're aiming for the absolute sweet spot. We're looking at a sturdy, highly accessible, custom backyard wood structure. It's small enough that you can totally skip the heavy concrete foundation, but durable enough to literally last for decades. To get us there, we'll follow this blueprint: prep work and legalities, building the base, framing the walls and roof, siding and door construction, and finally, finishing touches and shelves. That's our journey from empty grass to finished greenhouse. All right, let's dive right into this. Part 1, prep work and legalities, starting on solid ground. Every great structure starts with a solid foundation, right? But before you even pick up a shovel, you've got to know the rules of your land. It's actually pretty interesting. Global building codes often have specific carve-outs for this stuff. For instance, in Bulgaria, Article 151 of their Spatial Planning Act specifically outlines what small structures can be built without a permit, and a lot of regions worldwide have similar exemptions for small, freestanding greenhouses without concrete foundations. But listen, no matter where you live, you absolutely must call your local utilities hotline, like 811 here in the US, to check for underground utilities before you dig. Safety first, always. Once you get the green light to dig, it's site prep time. Now, don't worry, we aren't grading the whole yard here. We just need a level trench for our base. This is a slow, super deliberate process. You're going to drive plumb stakes at the 4 corners of your 4x8 foot footprint, then tie a mason string about 10 inches off the ground, and use a simple line level to pull that string perfectly flat. From there, you just measure down to find the lowest spot in the dirt, and dig the rest of your trench to match that exact depth. It takes a little patience for sure, but it guarantees a rock-solid start. Moving on to part 2, building the base, laying the foundation. Okay, we've done the measuring, and now we actually get to put some timber into the earth. By the way, now is the perfect time to enlist a helper. You can always pay them in future heirloom tomatoes. So we start by laying heavy-duty, pressure-treated 4x4 timbers right into that trench we just dug. And you're going to want to constantly check the level on these. It is absolutely crucial that these foundational 4x4s sit perfectly flat in the dirt. Because if this base is crooked, well, every single wall and roof panel above it is going to be crooked too. To seamlessly connect these base timbers at the corners, you're going to use what's called a half-lap joint. It's easier than it sounds. You just set your circular saw depth to 1 3/4 inches, which is exactly half the thickness of a 4x4. Make a bunch of multiple relief cuts side by side, knock out the waste wood with a hammer, and just smooth it out with a chisel. When you lock those joints together with exterior screws, boom, you get a perfectly flush, incredibly strong continuous frame right there on the ground. All right, part 3, framing walls and roof, building the skeleton. This is where things really speed up. It's like the exciting movie montage phase, where the structure suddenly rises from the ground in 3D. The big takeaway here is the structural hierarchy of our lumber. We're relying on the heavy-duty 4x4s to act as our foundational base and our vertical corner posts. They handle the bulk of the weight, giving us maximum strength. Meanwhile, the standard 2x4s, they fill in the gaps. They create the wall frames, the inner studs, and the lateral cross bracing that keeps the whole shebang rigid against the wind. Now, listen up, because here is a fantastic pro tip. You do not want to try building your walls while they're standing up. It's a nightmare. It is significantly easier to build your front wall, which is cut to 77 3/8 inches, and your rear wall, which is a full 96 inches tall, completely flat on the grass. Just lay out your top and bottom plates, line up your studs, and screw it all together while gravity is actually working with you, not against you. Once that frame is built on the ground, you and your tomato-motivated helper will dynamically walk those walls upright and set them right onto the 4x4 base. Then you'll clamp a level to the side of the studs to make absolutely sure the wall is plumb. And plumb just means perfectly straight up and down. Once it's plumb, you screw it into the base and brace it with ground stakes. Okay, we're about to move to the roof, but before we do, I need to share a really crucial safety PSA straight from our source material. Falls from ladders are a leading cause of serious injuries. Seriously, at no time should a ladder be leaned against this greenhouse skeleton before construction is completely finished. The structure just isn't stable enough yet to support your weight pushing against it. Always, always use a self-supporting stepladder for this next phase. And that next phase? Cutting the rafters. Our roof is going to have a steep 25-degree pitch to easily shed rain and snow. But to make those 2x4 rafters sit securely on top of our slanted walls, you have to make what's called a bird's mouth cut. Basically, it's just a small triangular notch cut into the wood, usually with a jigsaw. That little notch allows the angled rafter to sit completely flat and physically lock into the top plate of the wall. It gives your roof incredible stability. Moving right along to part 4. Siding and door construction, applying the skin. So we've got our skeleton, and now we get to apply the skin to make it beautifully weathertight. And I love this part, because instead of painfully measuring and cutting dozens of tiny siding pieces to fit around a door frame, there's this incredibly clever trick. You just nail up an entire, solid 4x8 sheet of T111 wood siding right over the doorway opening. Then, grab a router tool equipped with a pattern cutting bit, plunge it right in, and let it trace the inside of the doorframe you already built. It cleanly cuts the exact door shape out in seconds. Honestly, it's a huge time saver and guarantees a totally perfect fit. Almost there, part 5, finishing touches and shelves. Interior optimization. The outside is looking like a real building now, so let's slow things down a bit and move inside. With a small, roughly 6.5 by 8 foot footprint, precision in here really matters. To maximize literally every square inch, we're building in functional details. You can take your scrap wood and build counter height shelves set exactly 36 inches high, which is perfect for comfortable potting. Throw some hanging planter hooks directly into those sturdy 4x4 wall studs. Now, for the floor, you'll pour in 16 bags. That's about 8 cubic feet of gravel. Gravel is brilliant here because it drains water instantly and it's incredibly easy to level out with a rake. Up top, secure some 8mm clear polycarbonate roof panels to let all that gorgeous sunlight pour in, and attach a front gutter system so you can harvest rainwater straight off the roof. Oh, and this brings us to a slightly humorous but absolutely vital warning from the building plans. When you install your exterior door latch, you must, I repeat, must always install an interior string pull connected to it. If you don't, the door can blow shut behind you and you will literally trap yourself inside your brand new greenhouse. Nobody wants that. But assuming you actually installed your string pull, you can finally step back and admire your work, because you've done it. The doors are hung, the clear roof is capturing the sun, and the shelves are just waiting for pots. You've taken raw timber and created a space for life to grow. So it all comes down to one final question. After all this deeply rewarding labor, what are you going to plant first?